Yes, Lord. Why do we not?
Okay, it's 3:30, and at this time, I'd like to call to order December 16, 2024 meeting of the Fiscal Services Committee of the Orange County Legislature. A copy of the agenda for the meeting may be found on the county website under the tabs for the legislature. And I would ask at this time that you please silence your phones and other electronic devices, and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Benton.
Here.
Tui. Duke. Hotel.
Here.
Kevin.
Here.
Minuta.
Here.
Keller.
Here.
Cindy.
Here. I got a text from Peter. He's running just a little late, so we'll start. Catch up. All right, first on the agenda, Department of Parks, Recreation and Conservation. Resolution of the Orange County Legislature assuming lead agency status under the State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker with respect to the construction of the Arboretum Event Center at Thomas Bull Memorial Park in the town of Hamptonburg, classifying the action as unlisted and determining the action will not have any significant adverse environmental impacts. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
Second.
Legislator Minuta and Legislator Benton. All right, go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. Just to start off, I wanted to introduce Meredith Foy, our new Deputy Commissioner at Parks.
Hello.
Meredith has more than 25 years of experience in project management with construction projects, with a heavy focus on municipal work in the past. So very excited to have her on board.
Welcome.
Thank you.
This request is to address seeker for the Arboretum Event Center building, which is proposed to be a plus or minus 8,000 square foot building at the Arboretum with associated improvements, including a patio area, access, zone access road in with a drop-off portico area, and its own sewage disposal system.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
So
Legislator Tuttle.
the 8,000 is including the patio area, correct?
That is the event center and also all the ancillary, the restrooms, the kitchen,
The
the
whole-
green room area. So it does not include the patio area outside.
Structure only.
It's structural.
Thank you.
Any other? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Right. Next, we have request supplemental appropriation to the capital projects budget for the construction of the Arboretum Event Center. This project has been approved under the 2024 capital plan as project number 97. Upon approval, a new capital project will be created, $5 million bonding. Legislative request number 269. Could I get a motion in a second, please?
Second.
Legislator Minuta and Legislator Benton. Okay, Commissioner.
Thank you. This would be to establish the construction portion of this capital project for the Arboretum Event Center. We've handed out some renderings of what the building is anticipated to look like. In the original legislative request, I believe that there was the preliminary architectural plans. It's, again, anticipated to be basically a 40 by 100 event room with restrooms, kitchen area, storage area, and an attached green room. The building got as large as it did because it requires fire suppression, and there's not municipal water supply there, so that involves its own water storage tank within the building to provide that fire suppression. This is for a $5 million for the construction portion of it. The architect's estimate for this is a total of $6.1 million. for the construction of the project, which is about $730 a square foot. We have another capital project for the 2025 plan that would make up the difference of this.
Any questions or comments? Legislator Menuda.
Was there a committee that was put together for this event center?
There was not, I believe, last year when we added this to the capital plan, we had offered it up and we had not received response. Last fall was my recollection on that.
I just, for me, I think this is a large spend. I'm not sure that, I'm into this just yet. Those are my comments.
Other comments or questions? Legislator Benton.
So how's this fire suppression with an indoor water tank gonna work?
In the utility room, there's a 15,000 gallon tank, I believe is what they're looking at right now.
Okay.
It is the reserve that it's going to be a hydromatic style tank. And that will be where the water will get drawn off of in the event that it's needed for the sprinkler system. The other thing with this system is it will allow us to hook up to the Ottaway building, which is being renovated, which would allow that building to be sprinklered as well.
So this is in addition to the Ottaway building that's there now that's being,
Correct. This building is proposed to, it's a large event hall, anticipated to be able to have 225 plus people. And it's going in the area where, when there normally are weddings there, if they rent tents and put them up, that's where they would put them up. It's next to the raised bed garden area.
yeah, all right, so I'm a question mark on this too. So how is it going to, if there's, let's say there's a fire in the new building. So how is the fire system gonna have electric and pump water to put the fire out? Because if you have a fire, your electric's probably already short circuited.
It would be the same as any other building that you have water supply coming into. So as soon as the sprinkler heads go off, the hydromatic tank is already charged with all of the water
That's what
inside.
that means. It's a pressurized tank that
Correct.
will bleed itself down to zero if it has to.
I'm not sure exactly what pressure it bleeds itself down to, but that's how it's designed.
It's gonna be capable of 90 minutes of suppression.
Okay.
And did you guys look for a variance from the state for this?
For the fire suppression?
Yeah.
We did not.
If you do an alternate means of construction, you might be able to get a variance from the state.
Otherwise, the inside tank is not like a no-go special.
No, it's just very expensive. Because there's no municipal water there, you have to basically tap a well. You have to have storage tanks. Those storage tanks require treatment. They need to be pressurized. They need to withstand 90 minutes worth of fire suppression until the fire department gets there. And it's an expensive system, very expensive. And if you altered the construction type, material wise, and its fire rating, you might be able to obtain with that and the approval from local fire department, you may be able to get a variance from the state. I've done that before, so.
Okay, I thought it was stupid for asking this question. Now I'm not so stupid. All right, thank you.
What's the variance for?
Sprinkler system.
But you would not.
You would not need a sprinkler system. If you make the building safer than it normally would be, you can prove to the state that you don't need a sprinkler system and therefore extinguish, if you will. Saves what, 1.6 million?
Saves a decent chunk of money. Yes.
Considering we already had a fire
Yeah.
there.
What's that?
Considering we already had a fire there.
Different building type. Yeah, completely different building.
But this system would provide protection to both buildings at this point.
Again, same thing applies. And if you don't have, how big is the other building?
I think that's,
Can you put more than 200 people in it?
no, you can't.
No.
No,
Then
you're,
why would you need a sprinkler system in a summer space anyway? You know, 199 is a lot. Once you reach 199, then you need a sprinkler system. So this is kind of why I'm asking. I mean, we put together the medical examiner building with an original start out cost of somewhere around 7 million. This is starting at 5, we're already going to 6.1 or so. And that had a full committee with it. I'm not a fan of the location only because there is no there's no municipal water to be served for this. And I just don't know if we need to get in the business of a catering hall when we have other private businesses that are doing this.
This
They're already
really,
doing weddings.
Hmm?
They've been doing weddings.
That's not the point for competing with private business.
Just like tourism does movies, they should have it. The way private should be doing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this project was put before the capital program committee and was approved by the committee and then again by the legislature later on. With that approval, Travis went forward, decided to put together the plan. So he is here now with a specific plan and a request for money for a project that has already been approved by the legislature.
Thank you.
I'd just like to speak to the 5 million versus the 6. This was originally had $6 million in it for this project for this year. We had to remove $1 million from that for the Heritage Trail Bridge Deck project, which was underfunded. And that's why we put it back in for the 2025 capital plan.
Will you be looking into the concerns that have been raised here with the architect, especially relative to the variance, to see if that's a possibility, and would you be able to come back and give us
An update on it?
tenor of that discussion?
We can ask them about it. I'm not that familiar with it. I don't know what materials are and are not allowed. It was intended to be basically glass and timber framed type style. Which I don't know if that lends itself or not.
It may because it's not combustible.
Okay.
If it is actually timber.
So we can ask those questions. The Ottaway building, we already incorporated a sprinkler system, not fully outfitted. The heads wouldn't come through for the construction on that project, but the piping is all in there so that it could be in the future hooked up to this system if it went in place.
So that was designed and you have a partial install? or not?
No, it's going out to bid this next month.
Yeah, so I mean, so from that perspective, I guess I'm a little bit upset that it's been designed in the first place when we could have, the first thing you do is look for variance on it. And anytime I've gone for a variance, I've gotten them approved from the state, so.
But I think to your point, what I understood you to say was you'd have to possibly change the materials inside and do things to make it less combustible.
Well, I mean, depends, if it's timber, okay, so, I mean, listen, this is a full code review that's required for all of this, but the point of the matter is they should have done that at this point anyway. So if you increase the level of combustibility, so basically decreasing it, right, so let's say a 3-4 hour rated structure, you don't necessarily need
Right.
a sprinkler system. Because you've made the building safer than it normally would be. The reason they have a sprinkler system is to take ordinary buildings and make them safer. If you take a different type, of building, then you don't necessarily need it. And the cap is 199 on the sprinkler system. So the Arboretum as it exists now would not need that because you're not exceeding that cap. The other one is this piece, which is a whole nother ball of wax, in my opinion.
So if okay, legislative bench.
So if we made this square footage for only capable to have by 175 to 199, then we wouldn't need this.
If you don't exceed 199 people in a building, you don't need a sprinkler
So
system.
we downsize a little.
Our consultant, when we were initially laying this out, because we were at, I think, around 125, had said anything over 100 with the type of space that we were using triggered there. So that was where we looked at it and
I'm sorry, you are correct. I'm mistaken.
and we said that if we're
99, now we're-
already at a sprinkler system
Yes.
and we're incurring those costs, we should make the space a little bit larger to accommodate additional, larger events. And the Ottaway building, potentially, because my understanding is you have to evaluate the space, not based on the number of people seated, but the number of people that could be in that space, period. Right now, we're restricted as the total occupancy. Once that building is sprinklered, you could have larger events in the Ottaway as well, with more people in there.
With permission of fire, building inspector, right? They can placard the building, either more or less.
Legislator Tortel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The code may be 199 or
99, my mistake, it's not.
okay, so 99, all right. So the code 99, obviously, we're exceeding that now at this point. I think in any public space that we have, especially under a new construction, if we have the opportunity to do everything that we can to protect our investment by adding a sprinkler or fire suppression system, even if it isn't required by code, I think it would behoove us to do so. Not just for the safety of those that will be gathering there, but also for our investment. So I am for adding any extra expense when it comes to it being a safety issue and an issue where we're protecting our investment. Thank you.
Did DPW want to weigh in on this?
I was just gonna offer the 99 number.
Oh, okay, thanks.
I just talk to
Yes.
tell when you want to comment. I don't mean to take too much time here. So if you chose a site that actually has water, about 170 grand to sprinkler versus almost $1 million to build and do all these testing. So site selection, all of these things are part of that. So you don't have to spend the money, just pick a great site.
Legislator Benton, did you have a question or no? Um, Anyone else with questions or comments? All right, seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Benton?
Yeah.
Feller?
Yes.
Tortel?
Yes.
Skevich?
Yes.
Tui?
Yes.
Ruda?
No.
Cheney?
Yes. Okay, motion passes. I think in any case, you're moving forward, but I would like to ask you to go back, if you can get an update for us next month that I know speaks to some of these questions that you've heard today.
I don't know if we'll have answers next month
Right.
on the variance or looking into it, but we can definitely report back as soon as we have, updated information on it.
Thank you. All right. C, request to amend resolution number 56 of 2016 to incorporate New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation under Title IX of the Environmental Protection Act of 1993 resolution language. Legislative request number 297. Could I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Legislator Tortel and Legislator Menuda. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. This request is to amend resolution language for a grant that we had received from New York State Office of Parks for the Heritage Trail Segment 2. It's that section from Harley Road to East Main Street. It was a grant for $500,000, and this was additional language that had to be included in the resolution for us to get that contract executed and ultimately be reimbursed for that money.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Carried. Request to authorize the county executive to execute a temporary construction easement with the Orange County Land Trust for the purpose of granting Orange County the right to enter onto real property owned by the Orange County Land Trust and construct a parking lot to be used by the public to park vehicles while utilizing the Heritage Trail. The subject property is located off Gray Court Road in the town of Chester and is identified on the tax map of the town of Chester as Section 60, Lot 3, Block 5. Legislative request number 312. Could I get a motion in a moment, please? Legislator Tui
Second.
and Legislator Tortel. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, I think the language on here that we submitted was incorrect as far as the township. It's the town of Boynton Grove.
Bless you.
So it should be the town.
Correct. Apologize for that. This would be, this request is for a temporary easement to allow us to go and construct a small parking area on this piece of property that's Orange County Land Trust property, where we already have an agreement with them for public access and to the Heritage Trail. This is off of Great Court Road, and it's about 13 spaces that would be built.
Questions or comments? Do we need to formally amend it or?
I would, just,
Okay.
just to be safe.
So could I get a motion to amend the resolution to change where it says Town of Chester to Town of Brookfield?
Second.
Legislator Tui and Legislator Tortel. So we'll vote now on the motion to amend. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. And now to vote on the amended motion unless there's additional questions or discussion. Okay, seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Carried. Request to accept and appropriate insurance funds in the amount of $110,090.89 and apply the funds towards debt service for the remediation of the Hickory Hill Maintenance Garage resulting from Hurricane Ida disaster. Capital project number 787, legislative request number 311. Can I get a motion in a second, please? Legislator Menuda,
Second.
Legislator Benton, thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner.
This request is to accept those insurance funds that we'll receive at the Hickory Hill Garage from flooding damages during Ida. Originally, these claims were denied, and with the help of Dominic Green at Emergency Services and FEMA, we were able to push back against the insurance company, and this is money that we'll be collecting.
Okay, questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, DPW, Environmental Facilities and Services. We have a request to confirm all tipping rate increases charged at Orange County-owned solid waste disposal facilities for all applicable waste streams and amending all past resolutions setting previous rates as follows. Increase in tipping fees due to increase hauling, and processing fees. Municipal solid waste, MSW, increase from current rate of $128.25 a ton to $130.65 a ton. Yard waste, increase from $40 per ton to $50 per ton. Computer monitors, no charge. Televisions, no charge. Legislative request number 313. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Legislator Tortel and Legislator Bella, Legislator Tui. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I will be abstaining from these discussions.
okay. Thank you, Legislator Ben. Commissioner?
To start, I just wanted to add, you do have an attachment, and you should have an attachment anyway, the spreadsheet, including with the backup. There is one item that is on the spreadsheet, so that's covered, but it just wasn't in the bulleted items in the agenda, which is the commercial and demolition debris, which falls in the same category essentially as MSW, which is listed there, same price range. I just wanted to point that out. This is our annual, each year we generally come back to address the rates at the transfer stations for various materials. We recently put out to bid the MSW. Received new pricing just a few weeks ago, I believe. This is essentially a reflection of that bids that came in. It is only a 1.87% increase over the previous tipping fee, that's the difference you see there, the $128.25 versus the $130.65. So that's what that's effectuated there. The yard waste is essentially just bringing it up to what we compared with other, I'll call them competitors, but other facilities within our region, and bring it up to general prices, so we're not losing out on revenue there. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. We'll be looking to put the pricing into effect at the beginning of January, or probably the first week, maybe January 3rd or so.
So on our, excuse me, on our rate sheet, is construction and demolition material separate?
It is listed separately from MSW on this sheet,
Okay,
exact same pricing.
okay. So
Which
we should
one
probably amend the motion to add to municipal solid waste, construction and demolition material. So could I get a motion to amend, please?
So move.
Legislator Buckell, second. Legislator Tui, thank you.
And just lastly, the no charges are just a reflection of things that we were charging for before. We now won't be charging, allows the vendor that we use to take the materials away to claim a rebate. So it's really just we'll shipping the money around. They take care of the rebate, so we don't charge anybody.
So let's go with the motion to amend to add C and D as an item. Good. So we have a motion and a second for to amend. Any further discussion? Yes, Legislator Felder.
Just with a 25% increase in what kind of revenue stream increases are we going to see for revenue over the course of the year, plus or minus?
Do you know the tonnage we've been on that?
$100,000.
This is just the yard waste.
Yard waste? No, I don't. I have to get.
Yeah, we can potentially get back to you tomorrow. I'm not sure what the tonnage is on that. It's not gonna make, I don't anticipate a huge dent. We do have some taxation in the budget overall. I don't anticipate a huge dent in that, but there's so many different items on here. We just try to keep up with every one of them. Continue to bring in the appropriate revenue, but we can get back to you on how many tons we had last year in that item, and then we can just do the simple math. So thank you.
Okay. Other questions or comments? So again, we'll be voting on the amendment itself. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Carried. One abstention. Legislator Benton abstaining. And now, if there's no further discussion, looks like there isn't, we will vote on the amended motion. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Carried.
One abstention.
With one abstention. I didn't say unanimously, so. Thanks. All right, next up, DPW.
Come back.
We have, the first item is a resolution of the Orange County Legislature to declare the intent to assume lead agency status under the State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker with respect to the Newburgh garage replacement in the town of New Windsor, classifying the action as unlisted and determining the action will not have any significant adverse environmental impacts. Legislative request number 302. Could I get a motion in a second, please?
Second.
Legislator Nuda and Torkel. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I'll have Ryan do most of the talking here, but this is the garage on Route 300. We previously did have funds approved for this for the design only. That was the ARPA funds that we've been getting design done. So to speak. Ryan can give you some of the details. This is going to be secret in the funds for actual construction.
So the garage was originally constructed in 1958. It houses the Newburgh Maintenance District, which maintains approximately 100 miles of roadway on the eastern side of Orange County. They've kind of outgrown the building. They've got one office, which kind of functions as the crew quarters where the guys hang out during snowstorms or things like that. The foreman's office is actually located in the boiler room right now. So we're trying to get them a full office, get them actual crew quarters where they can have a couch and they can sit down and relax during breaks in the snowstorms. We also want to get some of our new equipment inside. The grade oils that we have for each of the districts now, they're a pretty hefty investment, so we want to keep those protected. We've got the loaders, the plow trucks, the crew trucks. We're trying to get them all within the building itself. The existing building was 40 by 180 feet. The new one is 80 by 160. So we're going up a little bit in depth. We're trying to double stack the vehicles, get a little bit more conservative space utilization. Just keep all the vehicles closer together as opposed to being spread out along a long skinny building. With that, we're demoing the existing building. We're keeping the salt barn. We're keeping the fuel facilities. We're just replacing approximately the same footprint.
So the first thing we're dealing with is the seeker, but I guess we can allow the questions to be a little broader than that, since we got a good explanation. So, any questions or comments?
Seeker or the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Does it need a sprinkler system?
We have gone back and forth with that. There is municipal water there. We do want to connect to the municipal water. Right now, we're operating on a well. The well isn't able to be utilized for potable water, so we want to connect either way. The architect has gone and done a little evaluation between dividing the building up, putting firewalls within the floor space. Because we don't need one large garage area, we can divide up the garage area with some firewalls. May keep us under the necessity to have sprinklers at all. But if sprinklers are more cost effective, we would rather go with that.
Other questions or comments? I would assume we have the battery disconnect switches on all our equipment.
I believe so. Maybe not the older trucks. You can look into it.
Chester learned the hard way on that.
Do you guys have any renderings?
I could probably send you something. I believe there was one, just a really small sketch on here, but I have like a couple elevation views I can get you out of the plan set. For sure. I can get those to you tomorrow.
That's okay with the chairman.
Okay, other questions or comments? All right, so we're voting on the seeker resolution. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Next, we have request supplemental appropriation of the capital projects budget for the Newburgh Garage replacement in the town of New Windsor. This project has been approved under the 2024 capital plan as project number 31. Upon approval, a new capital project will be created, $4,500,000 in bonding. Legislative request number 303. Could I get a motion in a second, please?
Second.
Legislator Menuda and Legislator Tonto. Go ahead.
Same project, obviously. I'll just note, you know, in the capital plan, 4.5 million. The estimates did come in slightly higher than that. That's from the consultant. I think right now we're okay just moving forward at this amount and seeing where we come in as we get closer. We have more information, potentially we can get out to bid to see what the price is. It's in the range.
Questions or comments? Legislative.
May I just ask how far along we are with the drawings? Is it ready to be bid at this point? Specs and drawings?
We're very close. I mean, we're about 80%, 90%. We haven't reviewed that set yet, so I can't say that that's going to be the final set, but we are getting very close with the design.
And it'll take, you know, then we have to get through our process once we get the documents together. So it's still be several months away, but definitely 2025.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Next, we have a resolution concerning the impacts of efforts to electrify highway department vehicles by adoption of the Advanced Clean Truck Rule. Legislative request number 304. Could I get a motion in a second? Legislator Tortel.
Second.
That legislator Tui or legislator Fair? Feller. Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I didn't know if you needed to read that whole thing. Sitting back.
No, thank goodness.
Okay, this is a resolution. So I'm on the New York State County Highway Superintendent Association, and a lot of the other counties have passed a very similar resolution to this. I know 5 of them specifically in the last month or two that I know of, and I think more planning on it. And this is just, it talks about the initiatives that the state has come down with in the plan of electrifying vehicles, but then specifically our highway equipment and our highway vehicles and the impacts on that. So essentially what this resolution is doing is saying, hey, look, there's issues here with the market, with supply chain. There's certainly fiscal barriers involved with making this plan come to fruition within the timeframes that are laid out by the state. We're looking for realistic timelines, funding sources, strategies to help us plan out what we need to do for this, for infrastructure and for our purchasing the right equipment. It's certainly nothing to say sort of roadblocking the plan by any means, but it's basically saying we need money, we need time, and we need to figure this out. And this is coming across from the entire, all the counties. And I also speak with, let me say all the counties, but during all the counties I've spoken with at the association level, at the state level, they have the same concern. I don't want to caveat that by saying I've spoken to every county, but also on the local level, the Orange County Highway Superintendent Association level, Tom Grisham from Cornwall is the president there. I've had conversations with him. Him and I are going to be discussing about the financial impacts of this at the Association of January Association of Towns dinner. It's going to be over in Cornwall. It's been a concern. Everybody realizes that eventually this is going to potentially happen, but at this point in time, it's just too soon. We don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the supplies, that the vendors who are providing trucks are put on hold. Normal trucks that we're purchasing, the internal combustion trucks, that they're basically canceling some, not specifically to us, but I've heard to other towns and counties, trying to cancel some of those orders or not putting orders through because they feel like they meet the mandates of the electrical vehicle percentages. So the resolution here comes from that. This language specifically comes from the state association. So this is very common to what many of the counties have already passed. It acknowledges that DEC just recently pass what they call limited enforcement discretion to give 2 more years on the program, but it was very limited to only just plow trucks and street sweepers and a couple other minor categories of vehicles. It doesn't cover all of our equipment. So that's a concern. So it's really, it helps a little bit, but it's not really enough. So in the, to back up a second, the cost associated with these, and I got some examples from speaking with our vendor that provides trucks to us. He gave me 3 examples: a box truck that's normally $145,000, and an electric version that's going to be $335,000. A school bus normally $150,000 to $200,000, goes up to about $400,000, and a day cab / tandem from $170,000 to $440,000. There are certainly going to be grants out there for a lot of these things, which are going to take actually a lot of administrative work to get them and track them, but essentially, we recognize these things are going to be moving forward. It's just the timing is very difficult because the technology isn't there, supply chain isn't there. There's a lot of barriers with this right now. So there's 2 asks that are in this resolution. On the last page where it says "be it further resolved," there's 2 of those. One basically is asked to pause or suspend the act just for timing. The other basically asked to recognize highway equipment, construction, maintenance vehicles, and equipment as critical to government mission to maintain safe and functional transportation. And it basically puts in the same category as emergency vehicles like that have gotten a waiver from the program, which I think is absolutely appropriate. So this whole thing brings up a lot of challenges. Obviously, the legislature here, this is not your jurisdiction, but we want to have a common voice in talking to Albany. The resolution talks about passing a resolution and then sending it up to the governor's office and other applicable state agencies that are involved with it, just to express the concern and then the ask. We understand it's good for the planet and other things. It's just the timing, the needs for the money, the needs to have a better plan in place.
Legislator Tui.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. This smacks of another unfunded mandate. Spoken to Highway Superintendent at Patterson down Monroe about this. We had gotten some information on it. With all of the different whereases, that's great. But the big thing is they should be giving you a waiver. They've given waivers. They should give Highway Department waivers. You're going to have these, the cost is exponentially more for an electric vehicle in snowstorms. What's gonna, I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be a nightmare to even get them fixed and work. It's gonna be a lot of downtime. It just sounds like a boondoggle. And I hope that I wish they would pressure more for getting you guys a waiver. I'll vote for this, but it's a start, but I hope that every county is taking up on it. You're in charge of those guys, so you have a connection with them all. So let them hear loud and clear that this is, don't think it's very good,
Legislator Menuda.
Thank you. As somebody who just bought an electric vehicle, I will tell you, it is very difficult to actually get the vehicle charged, where is it being charged, the amount of power you need to charge it, the hours that you need to charge it. It's, it's been quite the learning curve. So, we don't have the power in place. We don't have the charger, the superchargers in place. These vehicles got to be taking tremendous amount of power. So, to that extent, it absolutely needs to be, I think it needs to be pushed, that, not pushed into perpetuity if this is exactly where we're going to end up going in our future, but we don't have what's necessary. We don't have the infrastructure to implement it. You can't just buy them and say, plug them into an outlet. It's not going to work.
Yeah, and to your point, and Ryan had done a little bit of research on the chargers, size of chargers. Right now, they generally offer up to a level 3 charger, which can charge a regular vehicle, I think in a matter of 20, 30 minutes, something like that. But with the trucks this size, it's a matter of like 2-3 hours. So level 4 chargers are now in the conversation. I'm not even sure if they're even available at this point yet to maybe get them charged within an hour, because it's such a heavy vehicle. The batteries are so large. So, definitely concerns there with the infrastructure.
Legislator Benton.
This whole climate leadership law that was created and voted on by legislature years ago under Cuomo, the whole thing's a boondoggle because they wrote the law to make themselves feel good and be comparable with California, did no analysis whatsoever. They had no idea what they were actually doing and how it was going to be written, what the specifications were going to be, and all these technicalities. So it's all a bunch of crap.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried, thank you. Moving on to infrastructure services. Request supplemental appropriation in the amount of $2,490,000 to complete the construction for the medical examiner's facility, which includes the prime construction contracts, material testing company, construction management company, architect engineer firm, and fixtures, furniture, and equipment costs. Seeker completed per resolution number 182 of 2022. Upon approval, a new capital project will not be created, but a new award will be added to existing capital project number 165. It's legislative request number 305. They get
So moved.
Second.
Legislator Menuda. Legislator Todd. Okay, Commissioner, go ahead.
I just asked Scott O'Donnell to join me. Brian's out of town right now. One, I wanted to clarify, and Chairman and I had a conversation, I think, last week when we put the legislative request in. I think there was a little bit of confusion. We do anticipate being under budget on this project. We're asking here for $2,490,000 after having just returned over $3.2 million in ARPA funds. So we've actually returned money and we're asking for less back, just to clarify. So we're not looking for more money than we had already been approved for. I just want everybody to understand that. Yeah, there was a little bit of misunderstanding there, I think. Last month, Finance and Budget were here with the entire ARPA list, and they had the Moore project included in that, and they gave back a whole bunch of money. And that was because we just wanted to make sure that the county was meeting all the ARPA deadlines. That's all that was. So we're basically just shifting the money to make sure if we had any doubt if it was going to get spent on time, or and I shouldn't say that spent on time, is whether it was going to get spent at all. In other words, we have contingency lines built into our project for each one of our contracts. And if we don't use it all, we didn't want to end up risking losing that money if it was assigned to ARPA funds. All right, so that's kind of the nutshell. In a nutshell, that's what we're doing. We did provide some backup there. You can see how we broke out. We came up with the 2,490,000. It just generally lists the contracts that we have now and then some other miscellaneous items. Overall, for the budget, we originally had a $24 million budget. The revised ARPA amount was just over $20,700,000. Bonding was about a little over $928,000. And now we're asking to replenish the surplus that brings us both back up to that $24 million because we gave money back again. We do list the total project as over at $24,159,000, as you can see in the middle there. I don't anticipate spending all that money. I do believe we're going to be lower than that. This basically includes all the funds that we have allocated right now contractually. There will be some contingency monies left over in some of those contracts. We just don't know exactly how much yet. So we want to make sure we're covered now. We're going to finish the project and then we'll have our bottom line a number of months from now when we close out the project. So I'm happy to say that we do have a ribbon cutting scheduled tomorrow, and we're very happy that there's going to be actual people starting to move into the building.
Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
You're a day ahead of yourself.
Yes.
It's in meetings telling you it's gonna be tomorrow.
Wednesday is the ribbon cutting. Thank you. So we're very happy. We're very proud of the project. I think our folks have done a very good job, especially with, looks like, I believe that we're going to be under budget on the project. So again, it was just moving money around. That's why we're back here today.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call, legislator Menuda.
Sorry. What's our total spend on the project so far, just so that I know? 23.
We're going to be over 23 million for sure. We'll be somewhere between 23 and 24 million by the time we're done. I think at this point we're over 23 million. I don't have the exact number in front of me right now. I could certainly get that, but I do anticipate we're under 24 million by the time we're done with this project. I think we're somewhere between 23 million and 23.4 right now. I believe. Yeah, but is that
Maybe even a little less than that.
Yeah.
A lot of this is contingency funds, and we have open change orders that haven't been settled, some odds and ends. So when the smoke clears, we'll know for sure, but I believe we're 23 to 20, low.
Cool. And as far as the change orders, so roughly how many do we see for this project? Ballpark.
I don't know a number off the top of my head, but that was not astronomical, was nowhere near the change orders that occurred in the building we're in right now.
And all the change orders were worked generally mostly within the contingency line items that we had. We had some additional costs, I think, with the consultant, the soft costs.
Sure.
That I think went above those original amounts because we didn't have contingency in those contracts, but contingency in the construction contracts, we're generally within those. Did we go over on one of them?
On the consultants?
No, on the construction contracts, the primes. We're all,
No.
I think we're all within the contingency.
No, we're within.
Overall, you're under budget.
Yeah.
That's really the story.
Yeah, and it shows that we're slightly over 24 million just because that's what we contractually, that's what we have.
Thank you, John.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carried. Last item on the agenda, resolution directing the Orange County Department of Public Works to prepare and submit an application requesting the consent of the New York State Comptroller to expend funds for an increase and improvement of the facilities of Orange County Sewer District Number 1, expansion of the Harriman wastewater treatment plant from 6 million gallons a day to 9 million gallons a day, and increased capacity of the lower mains in the collection system. Legislative request number 14. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Legislator Tui. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think you're all aware of the the Orange County Sewer District 1 and the expansion project, the Herman Smith Treatment Plant. This is a special district. I think everybody knows that as well. So based on New York State laws, if we increase the rates to pay for something like this over a certain amount, we have to go through the contract for New York State's approval for that. That has to come, that authorization to actually submit the application has to come from the legislature. So that's essentially what we're here to do today. It mentions also the other project here, which is the collection system project, which was actually, was at one point looked at as one project, but then they've been broken out for funding purposes, two projects, the expansion of the plant and then the expansion of capacity within the collection system, the pipe, bigger pipes. So it's essentially as simple as that. We've had discussions with county attorney's office who gave us the language for this, and we'll be moving forward. Like we said, we had an update meeting let's say 2 last week, and our consultant went through the various funding sources and opportunities that are out there and trying to capture a lot of those, and then the processes that take place internally here in order to start that, pursue that, develop those funds.
Okay, legislative Jacobs.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman. Just wanted to let everybody know that, and you were at the meeting, some of us where Katie was, and let everybody else know that this is another major step forward on this project that's been in the works for many years, specifically the last 6 or so. And the project is moving along, and it's we're hitting all of our marks. We're in the design phase now, and this will let us, right now we're in a position of looking at different grants that are available, and we're finding those, and some of them have good amounts attached to them. So everything's optimistic, and I just want to thank these guys for everything that they do, and also with Delaware Engineering and the county folks, because talk about moving a mountain, it's a lot of. I'll leave that out. But thank you, Jim.
Legislator Tortel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Eric, if you could just remind, because some public might not be able to watch the sewer committee, but might be watching this one, that the grant sources that we're pursuing we receive those, doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have to raise the rates by this much. So just if you could just go into a little bit of that, just to reassure the public that this isn't necessarily a set in stone rate increase.
No, and exactly. I think it's a good point too. I think essentially the way I'm looking at this is we're moving in parallel, two paths in parallel here.
Mhm.
We need to cover ourselves for potential increases. We know we're gonna have some increases. We don't know to what extent yet, right?
Right.
We have to get into full design, which is gonna take the next year and a half or so, whatever it is. We'll have more information and better estimates at that point. And then we'll know with the comptroller's office, and the other unknown is the fact, how many grants are we gonna get? How much grant monies are we gonna get, right? So we don't know exactly how much is gonna be going on the individual users. So we'll be working in parallel with this application moving, showing the grant sources that we're doing our due diligence on both ends of this, and then hopefully keeping our fingers crossed. And I think I have a lot of faith in our consultant that they've done this many times, and they understand these grant sources that will be successful in some of the grants for sure.
And that was something we talked about from the very beginning of the process with Delaware Engineering, is what grants are available, and seeking this and seeking that, and everybody on the committee putting in their pieces to it to ensure that we get this done at the lowest possible cost to those people in the sewer district. Thank you.
And just as a point of further clarification, this being a district of its own, the rest of the county doesn't pay into this. Only the people, residences, businesses who are users of the system pay for this. So the rest of the county taxpayers aren't being charged for any of this. So, Chairwoman Benelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really want to thank Joe Mahoney from Law Department for flagging this before our meeting was over last week. Taking this step this afternoon keeps us ahead of the schedule, gives us a little bit of wiggle room there. It was critical that we got this on, and we all know that it's not that difficult. I mean, that it is very difficult to sometimes adjust agendas and everything. So for all of you that were involved in making this happen, including our own staff, thank you very much for having passed this so that we can continue and send in this application for the funding. It's obviously, we're at that point in the project, as you are now aware, and as much funding as we can receive is to our benefit and to the residents of that particular area. And mention again, and it should go because a lot of people don't understand that this is a special district, so honoring the people in that district. So thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Legislator Beck.
A related question, but it can be done after this vote.
Okay. All right. Other questions or comments prior to voting? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Legislator Beck.
Do we have any specific information and studies as to members of the district who have been paying for the last 20-something years who are not hooked up because the lines have not been extended to their house? Do we have any idea of the total number of houses, miles of roadway, and the costs? Because there are people I know, I've heard, people that live in this district and have been paying from day one and never received a single drop of service.
I certainly don't know that answer off the top of
You
my
can-
head, how many, but we'll have to,
that's
we can
That's
take a
what I
look
said.
at that.
It's a research.
And I know that there are theoretically, it's not the only place that this is structured, that business model structured, it's like very common that way. It does really have the ability to tie into the sewer potentially. Their property values potentially are higher because there's sewer in the vicinity of their home. But we can try to get those numbers, and we can talk with our consultant as well.
And the rate is different for someone who has sewer service
Correct.
versus someone who
Who's just
could
in the
tie
district.
in at some point in the future if service were extended to them.
Correct. Oh, yes, they're paying much less than if they actually had something flowing through a pipe to their house.
Correct. But they're still paying it.
Yes.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
There's still an expense within, because they live within the district.
Thank you. All right,
There
good.
could be various reasons why they're not connected. Either they're owned by their own choice or.
At this point, I would look for a
Sure.
motion to, oh, yes. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to go back to Mr. Feller's question. Bob's very efficient, and while we're sitting here, I got an answer to the yard waste. Looks like we're gonna do close to 1,300 tons this year. So times 10 would be $13,000.
So at this point, I look for a motion to adjourn. Legislator Menuda and Legislator Benton. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Adjourned.